You're watching the Batter Fans Network.
Welcome everybody to episode number 18 of the Battle Heat Fans Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Garana, and alongside me, as always, Mr. Daniel Solana. How are you doing, sir?
Doing great. I'm doing great. We're one win away from our magical number, Danny, from 10 wins. And I think I predicted it that we were going to beat the Warriors in the last episode, but it wasn't an easy win. It wasn't an easy win. It was more of a game similar to that second back-to-back against the Cleveland Cavaliers where they sat all their players, and the Heat looked like they were going to take it away in the first quarter, but they struggled the next couple of quarters. It was the fourth quarter that was really the biggest difference for the Heat this game, with Norman Powell coming up huge in that fourth quarter, and the Heat were able to pull out a win, but it was an ugly, ugly win, Danny.
It was. They had 70 some odd points heading into the fourth quarter, which is, I mean, from what we've seen this year, is not the norm anymore. Usually they're in the 90s, scratching at 100 by the time the fourth quarter's coming around. But yeah, a lot of vibes from last Wednesday, right? It was last Wednesday also that they played that Cleveland Cavs game undermanned. And first quarter, it's like, oh, okay, they're going to take care of business easy today. And then they just can't pull away. And then in the third quarter, I felt it coming. I felt that the Warriors took the lead, and I was like, oh my God, it's about to happen 7 days later again. Norman Powell was ice cold in the first half. It was just it was interesting. It was interesting the way you saw this happening again. It felt 7 days later again. We're supposed to win at home, but yeah, man, that fourth quarter was huge. Norman Powell, I feel like I don't want to make a hyperbolic statement, but watching him in that fourth quarter is what you usually watch a superstar do. Take over. Like you can have a bad first three quarters, but you know you can count on this person in the fourth quarter. Now I'm not going to say that that's what he is because we haven't seen it enough. But this fourth quarter was very impressive, and this is why I don't know if you remember, like three or four games into the season, we had a show, and I said I think I might like Norman Powell's offensive game more than Tyler Hero's. And you rolled your eyes, and you're like, I don't know. Tyler Hero can't get to the rim like Norman Powell. He can't take somebody one-on-one the way Norman Powell. Norman Powell is, to me, I've just really enjoyed watching him play.
I mean, look, I agree. He's been fantastic this season. He's been an all-star, right? He's been an all-star. And I heard it yesterday during one of the shows here in local radio shows in Miami. They had Coach L, the former coach, on, and he said it. Look, as long as Norman Powell can stay healthy and he can continue doing what he's going to do, this guy is going to be an absolute major player for the Miami Heat. He's exactly the type of player that fits into the Heat culture, and we've seen him be the go-to guy in the fourth quarter this year, and he's been fantastic in those clutch minutes. Again, coming up big last night against Golden State. And look, Danny, I don't know if you knew this, but this was the second worst shooting game in the NBA so far this season, where the teams combined to shoot only 38.4%. The other game was Toronto-Atlanta, which they shot 37.4%.
I did not know that. I did know that it was a bad shooting game, and I also know that Golden State was shooting it very poorly and was still hanging around, and then at one point took the lead. It's worrisome, and I know that it's very common knowledge that Miami almost plays down to their opponents, but that's worrisome because we have a couple of games coming up where, for example, against the Bucks next Wednesday on your birthday, I believe, Giannis isn't supposed to be playing. Like, you still got to come out and just step on their throats. Like you can't play with your food. Like that, we've been given, even though it's been a hard schedule, you've been given some
lenience, some leeway to be
take
able to
advantage of
win
that.
some of these games. Absolutely, you definitely do. But we've seen this happen in past years before, right? This is not anything new, Danny. The Heat always play down to their competition, and we've seen it already once this season with Cleveland. Basically benching their entire team, and we saw it again last night. And the Heat definitely played down to their competition. Although they had 48 points in the paint, which beat Golden State, who had 40. The biggest key was they were able to force Golden State to commit 21 turnovers, and we got 34 points off of those turnovers. Golden State only got 14 points off of their turnovers that they forced the Heat. So that's a big difference, a 20-point swing in those in that category. Points in the paint. This is something that you expected with Al Horford not playing, with Draymond Green not playing. They were missing their two best bigs. You expect the Heat to win those categories, to win points in the paint, and they did. It was unfortunate that they just had a very, very tough night shooting the ball, because if they were shooting it at the normal clip that they're shooting it, around 46, 47%, this would have been an absolute blowout and they would have won by 35 points.
Now, you didn't mention Jimmy Butler. Can we touch on the Jimmy Butler side of this? I have to give you credit. You said the last episode, I don't think Jimmy plays. I said, nah, he'll play. Like, Jimmy, it seems like he's about that business. Because Jimmy doesn't seem like he backs down. It's funny. And just like a day or two ago, I was listening to Jeff Teague talk about the Jimmy Butler, Minnesota Timberwolves practice story, when he kind of went at the starters. He got 4 G Leaguers and then started talking crap to everybody. He seems like he's about that, but you were on the money, man. You were on the money. You said he wouldn't play, and he didn't play.
Of course not. I knew he wasn't going to play. These guys that leave Miami and they come back, they just don't love playing in Miami. We saw it with LeBron, even though he's played post, but that year after, when he went back to Cleveland, I remember, he came down here and he didn't play, and we got to chant LeBron is tired. And look, it happened again last night. You saw Golden State rest all their starters because they played and lost the night before in Orlando. And so you had, Steph Curry, who re-aggravated his ankle sprain. You had, Jimmy Butler, who just didn't feel like playing. He probably just didn't want to play with the backups. Let's be honest. He's that type of player where, he only wants to play when he wants to play. And look, there was pictures of him, walking around South Beach yesterday. So looks like he was having a little bit of fun instead of taking care of his responsibilities like he's supposed to do at work.
Does his number get retired at some point?
Jimmy Butler?
Mm-hmm.
No way, man. No way.
You don't know?
No way. No way.
Jimmy Butler was a big piece of a part of Miami Heat history, man. Those 2 finals runs, I don't know, man. That was on the back of Jimmy Butler. You don't think that he gets credit for that and gets the number 22 put up there?
No chance.
No chance. Oh, okay. I don't know, man. Those were 2 memorable runs. I don't know.
Look, the fact that they allowed Andrew Wiggins to wear the 22 after Jimmy Butler left, I think says it all for you, that they will not retire that jersey.
Okay. Khalil Ware. Not his best shooting performance, but 16 boards in 19 minutes. This is what you want from him, right? Okay, you can't be an all-star. You can't be that big man, at least not yet. You still have to develop. At least contribute or impact the game in other ways. 16 boards in 19 minutes is big time. Love to see that, even though I felt like defensively he might be getting cooked a bit by these guys that I've never heard of. But I thought that at least he was able to be impactful on the boards. It's a slow burn with him. It's progress. He only got 19 minutes, obviously, because Bam came back, and we could touch on Bam in a second. But I'm not hating it. I think Khalil Ware if he can start affecting the game in other ways, that's what we need. And he's going to be coming off the bench.
Absolutely. And he needs to, find his role in, now that Bam Adebayo is back. He needs to re-find his role. He had already found a little bit when he was starting as the starting center. But now that Bam came back, we knew that he was going to, lose some minutes, and he was probably going to be relegated to the bench the way that Spo wants to be playing this season. And look, like you said, he needs to find the way that he's going to impact the game. And last night, it wasn't by scoring, but it was by getting those 16 important rebounds. And look, if I remember correctly, after that New York Knicks game where the Heat lost and he got drastically outplayed by Karl Anthony Towns, I remember that you said that Udonis Haslem, had a phone call with Khalil Ware, and Khalil Ware said it will never happen again. And he's kept his word so far. He's been absolutely insanely aggressive on the defensive end, trying to get boards. And another thing Coach Larinaga said yesterday while I was listening to him was that you have to have the it, right? You have to have that it factor in order to get rebounds. You need to understand, you have to be able to understand where the ball is going to go when it gets released, and you have to make sure that you anticipate it before the defensive player. And I think that he's starting to understand that he has that it factors to be able to get all those boards. And he was huge last night, even though, like you said, he didn't have a great shooting night. But on the defensive end and getting those boards, especially 4 big offensive boards, something that the Heat have struggled this season. Again, getting out rebounded on the offensive end last night.
Yeah. And the story of the night, Bam returns, 20 points. He was 7 for 13 from the field. You just miss Bam's presence. And then Norman Powell. Norman Powell, I think, ends up being just the hands down story of the game. The way that he just blew up in the fourth quarter after just looking cold, which was really weird to see him play that way because he usually starts off hot. But we won 9-6. Like we were talking about, we get to 10-10 after 20 games, and we feel really good about this team ending up top 4 in the East. And we played 5 games to go. It looks like we should hit 10 wins, and this team has just looked really good. And now Tyler Hero's coming back. I mean, obviously that's going to have an effect somewhere along the lines on minutes for other people, but all in all, I'm feeling pretty good about this team. 9-6, beating teams that you're supposed to beat when they're down. We're 7-1 at home. The only loss was that bad Cleveland Cavs loss.
Should be 8-0.
Should be 8-0. Should be 10-5 right now, and but we're looking good. Any final words there, Solano?
I have to give one shout out to Davion Mitchell again. He didn't have his best shooting night, only 2 of 5 from the field, but he had 6 assists. And the magical number, Danny, 0 turnovers. This guy loves to protect the ball, and I love that about him. And then talking about Tyler Hero, don't forget to mention that we're going to have a quick episode where we talk about when Tyler Hero comes back, who's going to be losing their minutes. And that's going to be really important because we know somebody, possibly 2 people, possibly 3 people are going to be losing some of their minutes. It's going to be really interesting when we talk about that.
And then one last shout out, Drew Smith. I think it was an out of bounds play that Steve Kerr challenged. They won the challenge. The Warriors got the ball back. Drew Smith comes in. They check the ball in, and Drew Smith gets the ball right back. Basically, null and voiding that change of the play because we got the ball right back. Drew Smith is an absolute pit bull on the defensive end. And you know what? What used to annoy me about Drew Smith? His hair. I used to hate that long curly hair. He looked like Maui from Moana. I think now maybe just having that nice buzz cut almost, I think it's helped him. I don't know. It looks more dynamic. Maybe that's why. Maybe that hair was weighing him down. I'm really enjoying watching Drew Smith. All right. If you're listening on audio, Leo's 5 stars. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe if you haven't already. And we will be back tomorrow talking some Tyler Hero return, who's losing the minutes, all that and more. So until the next one, have a good one.